Blog Talk Radio.
In this dirty old part of the city where the sun refused to shine, people tell me there ain't no use in trying. Now my girl, you're so young and pretty, and one thing I know is true, you'll be dead before your time is due. I know. Watch my daddy in bed at night. Watch his hair been turning straight. He's been working and slaving his life away. Oh yes, I know. He's been working so hard. Oh my, I've been working too, baby. Every night and day. We gotta get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do, we gotta get out of this place. Girl, there's a better life for me and you. Now, my girl, you're so young and pretty, and one thing I know is true, yeah, you'll be dead before your time is due. Know it. Watch my daddy in bed at night. Watch his hair been a turning gray. He's been working and slaving his life away. I know he's been working so hard. I've been working too, baby. Every day, baby. We gotta get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do, we gotta get out of this place. Girl, there's a better life for me and you. Somewhere, baby. Somehow I know it, baby. We gotta get out of this place. If it's the last thing we ever do, we gotta get out of this place. Girl, there's a better life for me and you. Believe me, baby. I know it, baby. You know it too.
Welcome to Paranormal Geeks Radio. This is April Fools, April 1st. How are you all doing today? I hope you all didn't get taken too bad by your friends trying to get something over on you. The introduction song was The Animals, We Gotta Get Out of This Place. Golden oldie from, I'm going to guess, 1968, 69, somewhere right around there. A lot of good music in that time frame, and that's what you're going to hear most of the time here. A lot of the 60s, 70s, a little bit of the 80s too, because that's what I like. Well, again, welcome to Paranormal Geeks Radio. This is a two-part show tonight. If you remember last week, I mentioned something about the ScareFest road trip that's going to be in Springfield, Illinois. The 13th, 12th, and 13th, I believe it is. Where are my notes? Well, we'll find out for sure in just a second when it's going to be. And I thought at that time I need to get someone on the show that knows something a little bit about this. So I got Miss Jennifer Kirkland. She is either one of or the organizer of ScareFest to talk to us about this event in Springfield, and also about how she got started with ScareFest down in Lexington, Kentucky. So everybody welcome Jennifer Kirkland to Paranormal Geeks Radio. Welcome, Jennifer. Hello, Jennifer. What's going on? Are you there, Jennifer? Well, we'll see if, let me try something here. Okay, we're trying this one more time. Jennifer, are you with us?
I am here.
All right.
Yay!
Yay, Blog Talk. I swear to God, I hope I have one show with Blog Talk Radio that we don't have a problem. So
you gotta love live radio, right?
I know. And I just mark this one down as another screw up by Blog Talk, because you were supposed to be live. You had a red microphone and everything. I don't know where you were at. Anyway,
I was there. I was talking and
Radio.
talking.
Well,
thank you, Jim. Thanks for having me on here. Yeah, I could hear you, and I was responding.
Well,
it's okay. All good now.
Remember what you said, because you're going to say it again. So,
I just want to thank you guys for having me on here.
Hey, it's my pleasure. Thank you. When I saw that this was going to be happening in Springfield, I couldn't get to go to ScareFest last year down in Lexington, but I saw this and it's like, man, I got to go. So got a hold of you. We have 2 tables reserved, one for Paranormal Geeks Radio, one for my paranormal team, and I'm just really, really psyched about this, and I've been putting it out there a lot about this happening, and I did talk about it last week on the show, but at the time I didn't know if I was able to say who all was going or going to be attending, guest-wise, and what the real reason for it is. But first,
okay.
I want to go back a little bit and ask you how you got started doing these ScareFest events in Lexington.
Oh, okay. ScareFest. My husband Lee and I are 2 of the event organizers for the show, along with the owners, Chuck and Patty Starr. And we knew Patty and Chuck through ghost hunting. So that's how we got connected. And then when we found out that Patty and, at the time, Jeff Waldridge, who was with us up until this year, he's pursuing other opportunities. But Jeff and Patty had come up with an idea of having a horror and paranormal convention. So we hopped on board. There was nothing like this in Lexington and no other event that I know of at the time that was combining both the horror and paranormal. So Lee and I were really excited to start working on this and get everything rolling with it. So we're going into our 7th year now in Lexington.
Wow. Man, I cannot imagine what it's like putting together something this large. When do you say for this year's event, for the 2014 event, when did you start working on the 2014 event this year, the regular Big ScareFest?
For 2014, we were probably working on it before the 2013 event, actually. You always start looking at your guest list well over a year in advance because there are so many events, that are starting to pop up that you have to start looking at your guest lineup. And if you want to do, one year we did a throwback to the 80s, so we brought in a lot of the 80s horror stars. So you have to, there's a lot that you take into consideration whenever you're deciding what guest to book. And then also, some of the guests that we get are still currently working actors. They're doing TV shows, and they have to kind of work around their schedule. So it's nonstop. Before we're finished with one, we're already working on, 2 years down the road.
My God. Because I helped organize 2 Paranormal Kicks Cancer events here in Illinois, and they're just very small. But I can't imagine trying to keep everything straight in that, because I thought that was, so rough to do, so tough to do.
It takes a team, and it has to be a team that works well together, and that's something with our core group. There's the 4 of us, that pretty much head up as far as the organizing of everything. And then we've got different team leads. We've got one person that takes care of the stars once they're in Lexington, make sure they have everything they need. We've got somebody that is in charge of, like, vendor check-in and making sure the vendors have everything they need. So it really does. It takes a huge team to put something like this together, and we are very blessed to have the volunteer staff that we have and to be able to do what we've done so far.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Now let's talk about the ScareFest road trip. That just kind of popped up, and you've organized this and just really jumped up from out of mud.
This has been event organization on speed. We were presented with an opportunity right at, I guess, 2.5 weeks ago now. It was exactly 1 month to the day from whenever we're going to be opening up in Springfield, that we were presented with the opportunity of putting this event together in Springfield. So it's been on speed. I've been contacting vendors, we've been contacting celebrities, just trying to get everything together very quickly.
Wow. And you've done a great job. I mean, you have some fantastic guests. How did you contact the guests? Well, tell us what this is about. Tell us, what is this? What is this event about?
This event will be filmed for a major cable network. I can't really discuss the show or the network at this time, but let's just say they were looking for an event of our kind, and we were happy to oblige. We've had fans asking us to bring ScareFest to other cities. Almost, since after our first year, we had requests, will you bring it to Knoxville? Will you bring it to Milwaukee? We get requests from all over the place.
Yeah,
and when this opportunity in Springfield opened up, I said that is a great opportunity to bring a little taste of the big ScareFest to another community.
Well, thank you very much for picking Springfield. It's you're not going to be disappointed. I do not believe so at all. So
I can tell already from the response that we've had. I think it's going to be a much larger event than we anticipated.
I hope so. Tell us who you got coming to this. Who you've got?
All right. So far, we've got R.A. Mihalos, who played Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and he also was in Hatchet 2. He's been a guest at ScareFest a couple of years, and this is an awesome guy. He looks like one of the meanest people that you would ever meet, but he's really just a big teddy bear, but don't tell him I said that. But we've got R.A. coming. We also have Tony Moran, who played the face of Michael Myers in Halloween, the original Halloween. We also have Robert Mukes, who was... I'm sorry?
Oh, I said, oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Robert Mukes, House of 1,000 Corpses, will be there, and we've got one more in mind. Hopefully everything will work out, and we'll be able to make that announcement maybe this week. So we may have one more to add to the horror lineup. And then on the paranormal side, we are bringing the 3 guests we're bringing to Springfield. None of them have been to the event in Lexington, so we're really excited about that. We have Dustin Pari from Ghost Hunters International and Ghost Hunters. We have Katrina Weidman, who was on Paranormal State, and she also has a show, Real Fear, The Truth Behind the Movies. I think it's on the Chiller Channel, which she kind of goes in and investigates, the true stories behind some of the horror movies that are out there. And then also from Ghost Hunters and Ghost Hunters International, Chris Williams will be in Springfield.
Wow. And that's, and this is a great event. Well, number one, that you threw together in such a short amount of time. But the big thing is that it's free.
It is free. It is free to fans. We are going to have costume contest. We really would love to see what kind of costumes that Springfield can come up with for this event. So we're going to be doing a costume contest. That's going to be hosted by Circus Envy. And if you guys have never seen Circus Envy, you need to go Google him. He's out of Atlanta, and he is the creepiest looking clown that you've ever seen. And also, we'll have a few costume contests. We're going to have a horror-themed magic show by Impossible Magic. It's Reed and Ashton Masterson, and they've been at ScareFest several years. Their shows are always standing room only at ScareFest, so I'm excited for them to show Springfield what they have too. And then also the Mystery Machine. Robin Terry is bringing the Mystery Machine in, and this was at ScareFest last year. And fans loved it, absolutely loved the Mystery Machine. So I'm excited to work with Robin again and have him there.
He messaged me today and told me to tell you hi. We were just down there. One other member of my team and a team out of Chicago, we were down there just this last Saturday night, investigating his theater that he lives in.
Oh, okay.
And so we got to, have our pictures taken with the Mystery Machine and Scooby.
That is, I love that Mystery Machine. It's so, it's like cartoon brought to life. How much better can it get?
It is, and it's an original. It's not something that someone went out and put together. It's an original Hanna-Barbera old Dodge van.
Yeah.
You can't beat that.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, for the costume contest, we are also there'll be a prize pack with that. And in that prize pack, there will be 2 golden tickets for ScareFest 7 in September. So a little more incentive for people to come out in costume and try to grab those 2 golden tickets.
Oh, heck yeah. Now, do you have a lineup yet or an itinerary of when the different like when the magic show is going to be and all these things? Yeah, we've got a rough draft at the time. We've got the hours that everything's going to be open. The doors will open at 11 on Saturday, April 12th, and then from about 12 p.m. to 4 p.m., we are going to do the costume contest during that time. We're going to do a meet and greet, and then it'll also be when the magic show is. So that's from 12 to 4 on Saturday. And then the main hall will open up from 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Saturday, and that's where you go in, and we've got all of the vendors set up in there. The stars will be in there signing autographs. And then Sunday morning we do it again from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The main hall will be back open then. Sweet. And the paranormal like Dustin and everybody, they're going to be there also Sunday also? Let's see. Dustin and Chris, they have to leave out early Sunday morning. So they're going to be there Saturday only. But everybody else, unless a flight changes or something like that, everybody else will be there both days, with the exception of Chris and Dustin. That's cool. Yeah, I've had a couple dealings with Dustin getting merchandise for the Paranormal Kicks Cancer for donations and stuff, and he seems like a very, very nice guy. I cannot wait to meet him in person. I know. I think maybe Dragon Con one year or some event we went to. I've met him one other time in person. I've spoke to him several times. Super guy. Wow, he is a great guy. But I think he's really, really good with the fans too. And that's another thing that we we look at whenever we bring in guests. Is how well they work with fans. And we try to bring in people that are going to be, friendly and not mind to take your picture and stuff like that. So I'm pretty excited about the lineup for Springfield. I think we've got a good group there. Yeah, it really does sound like it. Now, with the celebrities you have coming in, are they going to be charging for their pictures and autographs, or do you know if that's going to just be free, or? I anticipate that they will be charging. That's how it's set up at ScareFest. Everyone usually charges for their autograph. And I don't know exactly at this time what the prices will be. Usually it runs about $20 to $25 for a signed 8x10. And then a lot of times, once if you purchase the autographed 8x10, then they'll take a picture with you for free. So I think it'd probably be the same at Springfield. Yeah, I really do think you're going to have a heck of a crowd at this. And I hope so. And so tell us when it is and where it is. All right. It is at the real important stuff. The real important stuff. It's at the Prairie Capital Convention Center, and that's in Springfield, Illinois. And the dates are Saturday, April the 12th, and Sunday, April the 13th. And you can find more information. You can come to our website, thescarefest.com, and you'll see a little link there that says ScareFest Road Trip, and you can click on that for all the nitty-gritty details. All right. Yeah, I put that once in chat, but I'm going to get ready to do it right now again. I have a couple of questions, but I'm going to ask you. I'll message you later some other things. Okay. how do I can't even say this, get this question out of my mouth. With the ScareFests, do you see? Of course, your numbers have been climbing every year. They've no doubt are just out of the roof. How many people did you have, say, last year at your the one in Knoxville?
In Lexington, we had.
I'm sorry, Lexington. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We had over 15,000 people through the doors last year, so it's a pretty big event. Yeah, we are.
And that's over what, 3 days?
Yeah, over 3 days. We're a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event, and we're at the Lexington Convention Center there, and it is, I think it's about 86,000 square feet that we take up. And what we also have done last year and then also this year for ScareFest in Lexington, we've brought in a kind of a sub-event called The Portal, and it's a gaming, like a little mini gaming con that's in a separate area of the Lexington Convention Center. So we're always looking at ways to, to grow and expand and hit kind of different crowds.
Very interesting. That's very cool.
Yep.
All righty then. Well, I really cannot wait to get down. Well, it's over. It's only about 90 miles for me to get over there and meet you and see a bunch of new paranormal friends. Because that's what I really like about these. You meet new people and you see old friends.
You do. You absolutely do.
And then, again, thanks to Facebook, you can finally get to put faces with the people you talk to and, air your dirty laundry to, every day. And you kind of get to put a face to them and see how they really are. See that they're, that's great.
Well, it is. I love the Facebook. We're also on. You can find ScareFest on Facebook, too.
Okay, because I put the event page on there. But ScareFest is just go into Facebook and search ScareFest.
/TheScareFest, yeah.
The ScareFest.
Yeah, THC, The ScareFest.
So how much longer are you going to be doing these?
Forever, I hope. I love it. I am so passionate about the event. As many years as Lexington will continue to have us, we'll be there.
That's excellent. You get good backing from the city?
We do. Yeah, we get pretty good. We did worked with some of the local pubs last year, and also with Jim Beam was a sponsor, so they kind of set up a pub crawl. So we're kind of getting the community involved that way also. Yeah. So
and Springfield's been good to you?
Yes, Springfield. From the people that I have talked to at the convention center, a few other people that I know in the area, they have been wonderful in helping get this thing off the ground.
Excellent. Because we need the money because we're broke. We are a broke state. We need all the help we can get. And so this will definitely be a shot in the arm, a little bit of a shot in the arm. We're billions and billions in debt. Don't get me going. Another reason to leave Illinois. Snow and our government.
I heard you were going to Arizona in July. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what my April Fool prank was. Yeah.
It is April Fool's, right?
Yes, it is April Fool's. I felt bad because I put that up and then I started thinking, I really can't do that. I was never good at this. I'm not a real good liar, and I don't want people getting real excited for me. So I had to back out and say, no, guys, April Fools, and delete the post.
I must be gullible this year. I've been got twice. Once was just a few minutes ago on Facebook. I'm a fan of Shock Top beer on there, and they posted their new seasonal flavor was Flaming Hot Sriracha, and I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe they're putting sriracha in a beer. It was April Fool's.
Ooh. Well, what's his name? The guy from Star Trek that has all the funny posts on Facebook. Not Takai. Well, whatever.
George.
He was Sulu.
Yeah.
George
Takai. Uh-huh.
Yeah, he put on that he was going to be the host of Saturday Night Live. next week or next month or something. And that was his April Fool's prank to everybody. Well, I'm glad everybody made it through it, apparently. All right, well, Jennifer, I want to thank you very much for coming on tonight and telling us a little bit about what's going on here in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
wow, that's coming up quick.
It really
I started a
Tell
new
me
job,
about
and
it.
the first thing I had, I started a new job yesterday, and so when I went in, I said, listen, I hate to do this, but I said, I need this weekend off and this weekend off. Gave him a list of weekends that I already need off. I said, I'm sorry. I said, I've committed to things, and, man, I am not going to miss this for the world. You don't get to these things very often, and something of this caliber is great for Illinois. I'm glad. I know Chicago might have been an idea, but Chicago is so crowded. Springfield has 2 or 3 major highways coming into them. To the center of Illinois, people from Indiana can make it, from Missouri can make it, from Iowa can make it. It's a very central location. It was a great choice. How'd you pick Springfield?
That was actually from whenever we were contacted. Springfield kind of picked us, so we were happy to oblige.
Well, heck yeah. All right, again, I'm going to try to get off here with you. I'll see you in 2 weeks. Thanks again for being on. And
okay, thanks for having me.
Good luck with all that.
Thank you. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Have a great evening. Yes, you
all right,
will.
Thank you too.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, everybody, there you go. All the stuff that I didn't know if I could say last week. Now you know. We've got some great guests coming to this. Perry, which I have a ton of respect for. Kristen, I can never remember her name, but, she's a little cutie. So if you get a chance, come over to Springfield, Illinois in 2 weeks and party down with a bunch of paranormal people and some paranormal celebrities. It's always a lot of fun. April 12th and 13th at the Prairie Capital Convention Center in Springfield, Illinois. We're going to take a little break here and wait for our other guest tonight, which is Mr. Bill Bean, and prepare to be scared. He's going to be talking about his life growing up in a haunted house, and you don't want to miss this. See y'all in about 5. Welcome back to Paranormal Geeks Radio. Had a little Peter Gabriel there, another little sledgehammer. Like I say, gotta love the oldies, and that's what you're going to hear during our breaks and stuff. You know, I do throw in some country and some mushy stuff and stuff like that, but gotta love the oldies. That's all I can really remember. Anyway, okay, round 2 for tonight. Our next guest for an hour and a half is a gentleman who spent majority of his young adult life in a very haunted house out east. Seems like all these haunted houses are out east. You know, we had Andrea Perrone on last week, and you know, she was out east. Now we have tonight's guest, and he's from out east. I guess that's probably because it's just there's so much more history out there. Here in the Midwest, we've only been around since like the 1820s. And they go all the way back to 1600s, so they got a couple years on us. But anyway, our second guest tonight is an author and lecturer. I've listened to a couple of his other interviews, and I am just amazed at what he and his family went through and ended up really, literally tearing his family apart. It's a interesting, terrible story, so I might as well bring him on. Tonight's guest here on Paranormal Geeks Radio, Mr. Bill Bean. How are you doing tonight, sir?
I'm doing great, Jim. Thank you so much for having me on.
Well, thank you for being here. Like I say, I've read some stuff, and I've heard a couple of your other interviews, and I just cannot believe the heartache and like I said, literally tearing apart of your family. First, just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you grew up, and you know what you've been doing with your life.
Sure, and I want to thank you for your kind words and for taking the time to read Dark Forest and to do some research into listening to some of my interviews. I really appreciate that, and it means a lot when a show host takes that amount of time to really understand about the guest and certainly where I've been, and we'll get to where I'm at now, but I really appreciate it, Jim.
No problem.
And,
no problem at all.
You know, I've written 3 books, and my first book is called Dark Force, and in Dark Force, I, say that it all began in 1970, but it really goes much further back. I had discovered after writing Dark Force that my mother and her siblings also had paranormal, supernatural experiences and occurrences taking place in their life back in their childhoods. And I was told that a family member many, many, many years ago had done something to actually conjure these demonic forces up. Now, if that's true, which I have no way of knowing it was, if it's true or not, I wasn't there long before I was born, but if it's true, it certainly would explain why the family had like a dark cloud, for all those years prior to moving into the house. And I feel that it was that evil force that led us to that house. Evil was already present and manifest, and that's why it was so severe. So I say in Dark Force that it began when my family and I moved into a 3-bedroom ranch-style home located in Glen Burnie, Maryland, in a community called Herondale. And the house was semi-dilapidated. It sat at the bottom of a downhill cul-de-sac. It had a very large and deep ravine behind it. And my dad saw this as a restoration project. My parents were very good people. My father, William Sr., was a master carpenter, was blessed with tremendous skills. He was the type of individual that he could be successful at anything that he desired to be successful at. And so he did a good amount of work to the house and restoring it and making it look nice. But, my first recollections, Jim, I was 4 years old when we moved there, and
right.
I was frightened. The first time I saw the house, I was absolutely frightened. And my sister, who was 13 at the time, was also very frightened and apprehensive. So that was the first recollection. Go ahead.
Right from the get-go, you just very apprehensive, and for a 4-year-old, like you said, just scared of the place.
Absolutely, yeah. And not only was the house semi-dilapidated, but there was a tool shed in back of the house, and I'll tell you, that also was dilapidated, and it gave off such a horrible vibe to it. It just foreboding would not be. That would be very light in describing this. The aura that it was giving off and the negative power that was coming from it was just awful. I mean, from both structures, but especially that shed back there. So,
wow.
In walking in the house, the inside was equally as ominous and foreboding, because you would walk in through the front door into the living room. The house had this dark brown paneling on the walls, and so it was very dark inside of the house. And it just had this same, heavy feel, foreboding feel, heavy vibe to it. Atmospherically, the air was heavy in there. And you would walk into the living room, you would make a right down a long hallway, which had dark brown paneling on the walls and a hard tile floor going down the hallway. And I shared a bedroom with my brother, who was 1. I was 4, he was 1. We had the first bedroom on the right. My parents' room was the second room on the right, and my sister's room was the last room on the left side of the hallway. And that's the room where I really feel that it was a portal, or where the portal was, or vortex, or dimensional door, whatever you want to call it. That room remained cold on the warmest of summer days, and that's the room where the door would open and slam for many repetitions at a time. And my sister actually had a physical encounter in 1970 that would forever, I guess, confirm her initial thoughts and feelings about the place, and she never felt comfortable in there ever again, and she would leave shortly thereafter. But my mom was the first to have an experience, and it wasn't long after moving in. It happened in the living room while she was unpacking and organizing. And my dad, William Sr., had taken us with him for the day over to my grandparents, his parents' house, to allow my mother, Patricia Bean, to unpack and organize in what she thought would be peace. And it was during the course of this that she felt a presence. She thought that it was my dad sneaking back into the house. He had that type of sense of humor. And she spun around fully anticipating on seeing him. And to her shock and surprise, nothing was there. So she was perplexed by this and startled and unnerved and really confused as to what just took place. And she was eventually able to go back, or tried to go back to doing what she was doing, and it wasn't long after that the bedroom door slammed shut, my sister's room, the last room on the left. That door slammed shut by itself, and that was enough to make her go outside and wait until we returned. So that's where it began, and it gradually escalated into violent physical attacks on us from these demonic entities, and it greatly contributed to the destruction of my family.
Now, how long did you say that you guys were in there before the first occurrence happened?
Oh, it was only a couple of days. My mom was, she was the first one to have an experience. And, of course, my dad, he was a very hard-nosed individual. He was someone that I think that he was under attack from the start, to be honest with you, but he was someone that certainly wouldn't acknowledge that. And he was, he would never acknowledge that to us and never did, but he did eventually confide in my mother's mother, my grandmother, that, he was seeing apparitions and hearing things. And so I really feel that he was under spiritual attack from the beginning. And so they tried to downplay everything. Certainly my dad, not acknowledging it. My mother tried to downplay it into a friendly type of ghost type of thing. And it just gradually escalated from there, and so many things happened over that 10-plus year period. I didn't realize the enormity of it until I sat down to write Dark Force. And, I had to relive those things. And it just hit me. I thought, how in the world did we endure it for so long? And I'll tell you, Jim, I made my point by putting in what I put in to Dark Force, but there are other things that I left out. And, I could have added a lot more and really thickened that book up. But I thought, look, I've made my point here. People understand what happened. There's no sense in listing event after event after event. So I just made the point. I was to the point with everything, and people really appreciate that. I've had so much feedback over the years from people saying that once they picked Dark Force up, they couldn't put it down because they felt like they were plugged into the story, and they just got immersed in it. And so I think, again, I don't claim to be an accomplished writer or anything else. I just say that God, really gave me a calling to write the book and share the story, and it's really had such a positive impact on so many people over the last several years. It's amazing.
Now, you were the youngest in the house, correct?
No, my brother was the youngest. So I was
your brother was
my sister was. I was 4. My sister was 13, and my brother was 1 when we moved in.
Okay, so your sister being 13, that's it's an interesting age to be thrown into a haunted residence. Did she? How did she cope with things?
Well, she was uncomfortable from the very beginning, and she wasn't there long, to be honest with you. She wasn't there very long because late in 1970, she was asleep in her bed, and something woke her from her sleep, and she couldn't see anyone or anything there, but she knew something was there. And she got frightened, and she was going to get up and get my parents, and something grabbed her leg. And thank God she was able to let out a scream that woke my parents up. They came in running into the room, turned the light on. They didn't see any manifestation there or anything like that, but what they did see were red marks on her leg where she said something grabbed her leg. So she never again felt comfortable in that room, in that house, and it wouldn't be long, before she ran away. Middle of the night, married a young man in the neighborhood, and she stated our story was covered by Discovery Channel, the Haunting series, and the episode is called House of the Dead. And in that episode, she had stated that she would have married anyone just to get out of there because she was that disturbed and never felt comfortable again after that.
Wow, that's quite a drastic. That really bothered her if she did something like that.
Absolutely.
Wow.
And another interesting thing is that my mother's firstborn son was in 1963. Okay, my sister was born in 57. There was another child born, a male child born in 63. And I never could get the details because the accounts varied. Most of my family is gone now, so I never got the real story on this. But I do know that a child was born in 63. He didn't live very long. And Johns Hopkins came and took that body for studies. So I don't know anything else other than that. That's what I know for sure. And I was born in 66. So 3 years later, I was born. And then my brother was born in 69. The interesting thing is that was the firstborn son to my parents that died. When my sister left and she got married, she got pregnant, and there was it was going to be a boy, and that child, that baby died inside of her and nearly killed her as well. So that was her first son as well, the first, which would have been the firstborn son. Mm-hmm. So it's very interesting that, it happened to my mother and then my sister. And so therefore, again, it goes back to whoever did what, conjuring that original evil that carried over, that led us to that horrible, evil place. And so it was very much, these curses go hand in hand with demonic infestation and demonic oppression and possession as well. These things all work hand in hand.
Did you ever do any history or anything of of the house?
My parents may have, but I was so young, Jim, I really don't know. I know that there were rumors that someone had died in the house and things of that nature. Certainly nothing that I could substantiate, and certainly not at that time being so young. But and it was rumored that the person died in that back room, where my sister's room was. Again, I can't confirm or deny it or prove it. But a friend of mine did do some research on the area, and his research, his findings were that Native American tribes used to gather and worship at a structure nearby. It was in the middle of the woods. It's still there to this day, deep in the middle of the woods. It's a gigantic boulder-like structure. And if his research is correct, and these Native Americans gather and worship at this structure, which they said had supernatural powers, then it is possible that maybe this was a gateway or a doorway or a vortex or whatever that allowed these entities to come through and greatly affect not only our home, but other homes in the area and neighborhood. There were many homes, and I wasn't aware of this back then because people didn't talk about these things. I mean, you're talking 70s. People did not talk. My mother was very embarrassed and ashamed by all of this, and, she didn't want us talking with anybody about this. But I found out that, many homes were having problems, and I still get messages from people in that area to this very day telling me about the problems they're having in their homes. And I went back to a home in 2011 as a deliverance minister, and that's what I am now, on behalf of that family who was having demonic problems in their home. And I engaged in spiritual warfare in that home very nearby to where the old house was that we lived in. So I do not enjoy going back to that area at all because I get flooded with so many horrific memories. It's just quite overwhelming, to be honest with you. And I'd rather avoid the area. I was once offered a very large sum of money to go back to that house with a camera crew for 10 days, and I turned it down. I don't need, I'm not a wealthy man, but I don't need money that badly. And it's not that I'm afraid of it. Because, right, I don't want to.
Why open that wound back up again?
Exactly. I get inundated with so many horrific memories just being anywhere near the place, and I would prefer not to be near it. The only way I would ever go back is if whoever is currently living there, which I have no idea, the house has changed hands many times over the years, but that would be the only way I would ever go back to the house is if someone, the people who were living there were in need and requested that I would come, then I would go back. Other than that, I have no real desire to go back.
Right. Well, yeah, I don't blame you. I don't think anybody could blame you.
Yeah.
I know because with a lot of houses are haunted, but yours, it was possessed. It sounds like, and you used the word demonic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, go on. You used the word demonic. So that had to be it.
Oh, yeah, no question about it. And each and every one of us came under demonic oppression at various times. And, my dad, who was such a good man and very hardworking family man, someone that I very much wanted to be like, I saw him as a heroic type of figure. He and my mother, they were very good people. They believed in God, but we didn't have any religious upbringing or anything like that. We'd never attended church as children. We'd never were baptized or anything like that. Their demeanor began to change, and my parents were social drinkers, and they had these, family gatherings, and this was very prominent in the 60s and 70s, where your families would get together and have these parties and cookouts and all that kind of stuff. And, they would do that, and they were social drinkers, but not long after moving into the house, his character and demeanor began to change, and he began drinking very heavily. And looking back on this, I feel that my father was definitely under spiritual attack, and he was a man that was used to being in control of every situation, and suddenly found himself in a situation that he could not control. There was nowhere to really go. I mean, you couldn't speak about this publicly, and people would think you were crazy. So I'm sure he felt like there was nowhere to turn. And I think his escape was to begin trying to, I guess, self-medicate in a sense of just drowning himself in alcohol, and that's exactly what was happening. It was an escape from reality, and he began to, spend nights in the bars and come home late at night, and this obviously led to problems between me and my mother. And as these problems continued and his drinking increased, he began to physically abuse my mother on a regular basis between 1973 and 1975, and nearly killed her on several occasions. And I can recall being 8 years old, having to run to get to a neighbor's to get the police call on my dad. It was these horrific memories. And I have no doubt, based on what I witnessed, that these demonic forces were actually able to aid and fuel his rage and anger towards my mother while he was under the influence of alcohol.
Now, do you think that, other than maybe the possession or what your father was going through, was there anything physical? I know your sister was pulled out of bed. Anything else physical? Was anybody physically attacked?
Absolutely. My mother and I were physically attacked for most of the time that we lived there. And, my attack started the next year in 1971. So my sister had that attack at 70. In 1971, I was 5 years old, and very much like her, I was asleep in my bed late at night, middle of the night. Something woke me from my sleep. I couldn't see anything or anyone there. I got frightened. I got out of bed to get my parents, and as I got out of bed, a tremendous force grabbed me by my shoulders, slammed me back to the bed, pinning me on my back. I've given well over 1,000 interviews now, and each time I talk about this, it'll give you chills, because this is one of the most traumatic things that ever happened in my life at the age of 5 years old. Having this invisible force pinning me to the bed, and I felt paralyzed. Nothing worked. I couldn't. The only thing that worked were my eyes. Everything else, I tried to scream out for my parents, and my mouth wouldn't even work. I mean, this was awful. I can't in words describe the level of fear, and I felt like I was going to die. I felt like my heart was jumping out of my body. Just the level of trauma would be off the charts. 5 years old. I'll certainly never forget it. And many horrific things happened during that time, which seemed like it lasted for hours. I'm sure it was only several minutes. And it all stopped with the appearance of what I believe was a divine manifestation. And this was a lady.
A divine. Okay.
A divine manifestation, yeah. This lady, I believe, was some sort of angel. And when she appeared at the foot of my bed, all of these things stopped. And this lady had long blonde hair and a very pale blue gown, I want to say. And she was glowing. And I felt much love and comfort from this entity. And like I said, all the horrible things that were happening to me suddenly stopped. And the most amazing thing about this is this divine manifestation, this angel, if you will, looked exactly like my mother. Now, I wasn't the only one to see this lady. My very own mother saw her, and this divine manifestation aided her when she was being attacked. And my mother suffered more than any other person I've ever known in my life. And she suffered many more attacks physically than I did, and more severe as well. But this divine manifestation helped her on several occasions too, as well as other family members seeing it. And friends as well. I didn't tell anybody about this. As far as anyone outside of the family did not know this until probably late 1978. And I started to, maybe late 78, early 79, I started to talk about this with some friends, and they didn't believe it. And they came down and saw things and experienced things, and one was attacked, and they, experienced it for themselves. So I'm not just one man telling a story here, Jim. I mean, I could produce a long line of people that would say, hey, what he says is true, and this is what I experienced in there.
Well, you said earlier that your family wasn't a religious family or anything. Did you ever contact clergy to come in to see if they could help or anything?
Yes, and again, now this was going on for quite a while, and things like, I certainly don't want to give the whole book away. I want people to read the book. I want people to read and understand what I'm saying here. But in the mornings, my mom would make the beds, and she would come back and find them all torn apart. The water faucets in the bathroom and the kitchen as well would turn on by themselves, and they would turn on with such force that it would flood the areas around the sinks in the kitchen and bathroom. Now, if I were to go in the bathroom and turn the faucet on, it would have, a steady stream, not too powerful, just a regular stream of water. Right. But for whatever reasons, when these things turned them on, it was like the power would magnify and amplify, the power of the force of the water coming out, and it would saturate these areas. Back then, we had a TV set in the living room that you didn't have remote control. This set, you would have to press a button in. It had the heavy channel selector, and something would turn that on and flip that dial effortlessly. We would have terrible smells that would suddenly manifest, smells of sulfur and like bad meat or something like that, would manifest at times. Our pets, we had dogs, mostly dogs. My brother had, I think we had a rabbit and a guinea pig as well, but all the animals were affected by these entities. Some of them suddenly went mad, others mysteriously died, and one just simply vanished, and they got up the next morning and found its hair everywhere. So, I mean, this was a continuous assault off the charts. I'm not saying this because it's my story. I'm saying it's because it's true. This is something I wouldn't wish on anyone. And again, I say that it started in 1970, but as I said, it goes much further back. And then I didn't realize this until 2005 when my sister had given us, she asked me if I wanted some of the old family photographs that had belonged to my mother. And I found some very disturbing images with what appeared to be anomalous phenomena in some of these images. And if you visit BillBean.net and click on Photo Gallery, you'll see some of these images for yourself. And in one image, the photo was taken in 1968, Christmas time, 68. It's a picture of my sister and I behind this toy piano. And, I'm 2, my sister is 11. She is to my left, and to her far left is this very large and tall black hooded figure. And if you're staring, you see it? Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's 1968. Now, again, that's 2 years before moving into the house. And then in 1969, there was a Polaroid photograph taken of me at the age of 3. And if you really look at that photo, it's one of these photos you really have to stare at. And the more you look at it, the more you'll see many different types of beings behind me, around me, on both sides. It's just a bizarre photograph. This is a Polaroid photo, and it should have been a 3-year-old boy. And behind me, you see these other beings, and they're taller. They're not the same size. They're taller than me, and they're different sizes from each other. One's got a clenched fist, the other one's got an open hand. It's just absolutely amazing. It looks like one's got glasses on, the other one doesn't have glasses on. And furthermore, when you stare at the photograph, you'll see what looks to be one of those little alien-looking guys standing off to the left. It's blending right in with the bushes, but you really have to look at it. And then the more you look at it, you'll see several other faces blending in with the bushes. It's just a bizarre photo, and it was taken a year before moving into the house. And again, it definitely shows that something was going on before moving into the house.
Yeah.
Now, another photograph is a family photo that was taken in 1974. Now, this might be the only photograph taken of the family together in that house, and the only photograph where there are family members smiling. And behind my dad in that photo, if you look by the door, the back door is behind him. And if you look right in front of that door, you will see a very large face with red eyes there.
Is this with you guys standing in front of the Christmas tree?
Absolutely, yeah. Look over his left shoulder in front of the back door, and you'll see the eyes, the nose, the mouth, everything, right in front of that back door.
Sure did. Yeah.
So that's 1974. Also, in that photo, you will notice to the left, which would be to my grandmother's right there, over by the Christmas tree, was a large 6x6 plate glass window. That window did not open. Just a very large window, just one sheet of glass there, 6x6. And one night, and I think it was, I want to say 1979, we were watching TV. Now, my dad had a very heavy curtain rod there with heavy drapes, and he had the curtain rod bolted into the wall. And one night in 79, the best way to describe it, Jim, was that this force came through that plate glass window, did not break the glass. However, it ripped out the curtains, the rod, the bolts right out of the wall, everything. And the family dog watched this unseen force that we couldn't see and just followed it all the way through the window and down the hallway.
Oh, so the dog actually saw it and got up and followed it.
Yes. Only went to the edge of the hallway, though. Would not follow it all the way down the hallway.
Smart dog.
Yeah. And then another incident took place, I want to say 1978. My brother and I missed a lot of school as children because we were always sick, and we had so many, family problems aside from the supernatural activity that was taking place, which was contributing to the problems. In 78, now, I had actually went to school that day. My brother was home in the house with my mother. She was in her room. He was in his room. The faucet had turned on in the bathroom, and they came out into the hallway. My mother went into the bathroom to turn the faucet off, and they heard this crash. And right where you see, in that photo in 74, you see that back door there. Well, that back door was opened on that day, and there was a storm door in front of that. The storm door was closed, and there was glass in the bottom part of the storm door and a screen in the top part. And they heard this, crash, the sound of breaking glass. So they go racing up the hallway. And my brother said this was one of the most startling and frightening things that he can remember because he was very, very young when a lot of this stuff was taking place. And he saw, they found the back door, the glass, something had broken the glass, out of the bottom part of the storm door. Now, the amazing thing is the glass seemed to be blown out, and it was on the outside. There was no glass on the inside. It was blown out on the outside. Nothing, no rock, no ball, nothing was found there that would have broken the glass. and it was all over the pavement on the outside.
How bizarre.
Absolutely. I mean, I could go on and on. If I were to list all the experiences, we would have a series of shows. So, I mean, it's just mind-boggling. It really is. My dad left us at 75 after, these things I was telling you about with the domestic abuse and the alcoholism. And he was a contractor. You know, he had a contracting business and a lot of people working for him. And his life just went into such a downward spiral. And so ours, in turn went right with him. And when he left us in such a bad way financially that my mother, who was very ill, I didn't mention this, my mother was very ill the entire time that we lived in the house. She had high blood pressure, which led to strokes, which ultimately led to kidney failure. So she couldn't work. And when he left, she had to go on welfare. And, I mean, it was awful. It was just terrible. My mother was a very proud and private woman. She didn't want anything from anybody, and it devastated her that she had to go on public assistance. And after he left, the two entities in particular began to regularly physically attack and assault her on a regular basis to the point to where she couldn't sleep in her bed anymore. And these things would wake her up in the middle of the night by choking her. And my mother had cuts, bruises, and scratches on her long after my dad had left. And on one occasion, after being choked by one of these entities, and after the incident was over, she was gasping for air. She gets out of bed. She races up the hallway into the kitchen to get water. And when she opened the cupboard door, an unseen force shot a glass out of the cupboard, and it struck her in the right side of her head, over her eye, and knocked her out unconscious, busted her head wide open. She had to be taken to the hospital, but something, again, she opens the cupboard, and a glass just shoots out and hits her in the head.
Man. Now did she have any health problems before you guys moved into the house?
Not to my knowledge, Jim. And again, now I was 4 years old when we moved into the house.
Right.
I was very, very young, but to my knowledge, I don't think so. And I had many health issues as well. When we, the entire time we were always sick, and after each and every time that I would suffer an attack, I would feel like I had the flu the next day. I would have all these fevers and body aches, and it was awful. It really was. The entire time of being there, the entire 10-plus year, stint of being there was just literally hell. And the only outlet I had as a child was becoming an athlete, and I became a very good athlete. I got my brother involved in sports as well. I was the first kid on the field and the last one to leave because I did not want to leave that field and go home. And that was the only. Yeah, that was the only memory of peace that I had. Yeah, it was really. I mean, I can't tell you any happy childhood memories. I don't have them. I mean, I'm sorry to say it, but it is true.
Well, I'm going to tell you what, we're going to take a little bit of a break, and we'll come back because I know we have a lot more to go through. But we're going to take maybe about a 10-minute break, if that. So everybody out there want to go grab another iced tea or go do whatever you need to do in 10 minutes. Do it and get back because there's more to come, and it definitely doesn't get any better. So y'all come back in just a couple more minutes.
From Mysterious World TV, and I'm so excited to be telling you about an incredible event that's going to take place in May 2014. It is the 2014 Starworks USA UFO Symposium, Evidence in the Skies, highlighting the O'Hare incident. The Starworks USA UFO Symposium brings together women and men in the UFO research, reporting, and documentation. The 2014 symposium will be held at the beautiful Clarion Inn Hotel and Waterford Conference Center in Elmhurst, Illinois, between May 2nd to the 4th, 2014. The event will be hosted by former CNN anchor Cheryl Jones. Before I begin telling you about this exciting event, I want to let you know right from the get-go that space is very, very limited. In fact, there's only room for 150 participants. So please register early because you do not want to miss out on this spectacular experience featuring media personalities. The speakers include Cheryl Jones, Lee Spiegel, James Fox, Jennifer Stein, Scott Colburn, Paola Harris, Essen Sakakura, and Sam Moranto. Throughout the weekend, there are special event highlights, including an exceptional welcome party on Friday night. This is the Black and White Media Mixer, and all of the presenters are going to be present. This is a fantastic opportunity to dress up in your cocktail attire and mingle with your favorite presenters, and not to mention the other attendees too. This is followed by the movie Out of the Blue by director James Fox. Plus, there will be a question and answer session with James Fox after the screening. After dinner, everybody is encouraged to spend an exciting evening with Skywatch, which commences on Saturday evening at 9 o'clock. Everybody should bring cameras, infrared devices, and their binoculars. Sunday morning kicks off with an optional morning discussion with abductees. This is held by Yvonne Smith. Participants and vendors, you're going to want to register early because remember, this is limited to only 150 participants, so space is limited. Simply visit www.starworksusa.com and you can register online or even find out more information. You can email expo@starworksusa.com or even call 303-415-3900. And there is a special conference rate for all participants at the beautiful Clarion Inn Hotel and Waterford Conference Center in Elmhurst, Illinois. Information can be found on the website at starworksusa.com. We are really looking forward to seeing you at the 2014 Starworks USA UFO Symposium, Evidence in the Skies. This is slated to become an exclusive, much talked about academic event. The vision remains committed to serious research and education. We look forward to seeing you there.
On your next trip to beautiful Branson, Missouri, make sure you visit Ghosts of Branson. Hi, I'm Dr. Chuck Kennedy, owner of Ghosts of Branson, with over 40 years of experience as a paranormal investigator and an author of over a dozen books. I have personally scouted the best location in the Ozarks. Branson is the vacation capital of America. It is less than a one-day drive to one-third of the U.S. population, and at Ghosts of Branson, we have the ghost tour or investigation that is right for you. On all of our tours, each location is investigated and documented. You won't just hear stories and folklore. Using the night show technology, you will see the photographs and video and hear the EVPs that confirm each location is haunted. Are you a member of a group? Well, then check out our Ghost Hunters Getaway, a weekend to die for. 3 great days of ghost hunting events that you will never forget. So don't wait. Check out ghostsofbranson.com and book your tour or weekend now. Remember, don't let your vacation be normal. Make it paranormal with Ghosts of Branson.
Now that I've lost everything to you, you say you want to start something new, and it's breaking my heart you're leaving. Maybe I'm grieving, but if you want to leave, 'cause I never want to see you sad, girl. Don't be a bad girl, but if you want to leave, take good care. Hope you make a lot of nice friends out there, but just remember there's a lot of bad and beware. Beware. Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. It's hard to get by just upon a smile. Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. And I always remember you like a child, girl. Baby, I love you, but if you want to leave, take good care. Hope you make a lot of nice friends out there, but just remember there's a lot of bad and beware. Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. It's hard to get by just upon a smile. Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. I always remember you like a child, girl. Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. And it's hard to get by just upon a smile. Oh, baby, baby, it's a wild world. And I always remember you like a child, girl.
No problem at all, brother.
Okay, let's see. Okay, now we're both on. We're both live on the air. Something wasn't quite working right. I don't know if it's probably just Blog Talk Radio. It's not a perfect radio. It's not a AM/FM station or by any means. It is computer, and things happen. Things
That's
happen.
right.
I had a guest. I had to cut a guest short one night. We only did about a 45-minute show, and as soon as the show was over, I got this terrible email from her saying, I can't believe this is a real radio show and blah blah blah. And it's like, good Lord, lady. So anyway, she's not going to be invited back.
I've given over 1,000 interviews, and some of those interviews, things do happen, and that's just the way it goes, and you just have to adapt and overcome and keep moving forward no matter what it is.
Exactly. Okay. See, of course, we were talking about your childhood in this house. Mm-hmm. So you guys moved in 1971. How long did
70.
70? I'm sorry, 70.
Okay.
How long did your family stay in this house?
We stayed in from 1980, and like I said, my dad left us at 75, and he left us in such a bad way that we were in dire straits. Financially, we were defeated mentally, spiritually, and physically, and my mother more so than anybody. And for many years, I carried a burning hatred towards my dad for these things that took place, and I was thankful that I was able to forgive him before his untimely death. My father was shot to death in 1987, and I was very thankful that I was able to forgive him and release that hatred that I was carrying for so long. And I'll tell your listeners now, it's easier said than done to forgive, but it is necessary. It is essential for us to forgive because it's as important for us as it is for the person that we're forgiving. We just can't carry around that kind of garbage. It's poison to us.
No, you can't. And the old adage, life's too short. It's exactly right. It's just not right. I've had to bury a lot of hatchets, I feel better for it.
Absolutely. I was thankful for that. And, we were finally forced to leave in December of 80. And really, we should have left long before that. We had a priest involved for the last 16 months that we lived there. My family and I are not Catholic, but my step-grandfather was Catholic, and he went to church, and they sent a priest out. And I'm very grateful to them for sending the priest out, and grateful to the priest as well. But with his involvement, it got more intense and more severe. No fault of his or the church's, but it did become more intense. And it got to the point to where he was bringing mason jars full of holy water to the house, and we had a number that we could call him 24/7, and so he was very involved, up until the end. And these things, Jim, we were all under demonic oppression at various times while living in the house. We all did things that were way out of character. And I just still to this day can't fathom that we actually endured it for that long, because, after my dad left at 75, things just got horrific as far as, us coming under these attacks, and they were becoming more severe. End of 78, my mom met another man. She had a new man in her life, and he was very much like my dad, a former boxer, very hard-nosed individual, was not afraid of anyone or anything, and he was terrified to be in the house because he, too, had been physically attacked. He suffered physical attacks in the house at various times, and it was only his love for my mother that kept him, involved. And we finally left in 1980, December 1980, when we woke up one morning to the horrible odor, pungent odor of burning wires. Every electrical appliance in the house had burned up all at the same time. And this was finally enough. And also, one of my brother's pets, my mother found the pet, little guinea pig or something like that, dead in a cage, and that was enough. Finally, I think my mother feared that one of us were going to, end up that way soon. And so we finally got there December of 80, and we moved in with her boyfriend, Richard. And my brother and I didn't have any experiences there. We thought we were free from it. But I'd seen Richard several years ago, and he told me something that I didn't know. All those years, I didn't know that my mom was still having those attacks, up until the time of her death. And it wasn't long after moving out of the house that two tragedies occurred. My beloved grandmother, Dora Harvey, died from a sudden series of heart attacks, and then 2 months and 2 days later, my beloved mother, Patricia Bean, died from a cerebral hemorrhage, and she was 44. Oh, so neither of my parents lived to the age of 50, and it's just very sad and tragic how their lives ended, and I have very little family left. We've had many untimely and bizarre deaths over the years, and I have very little family left now, but again, from all of that garbage, from where it was, and I urge your listeners, again, to go back to billbean.net in that photo gallery and look in there again, and you'll see, plenty of, unfortunately, disturbing images in there. And one of the images, this photograph was taken in 1975 in the house. It's taken of my mother. She's on the telephone. And there's a large rectangular mirror behind her, and there's an oval-shaped mirror to her left. And in the oval-shaped mirror, which is shining into this rectangular mirror, there is a large, what looks to be alien type of looking face in the mirror, big black eyes, it looks like the gray thing. And if you look closer, you can actually see the figure standing behind my mother, which looks to be about 3 feet tall, and you see the flash of the camera coming off of its head. It's just absolutely amazing. There was a UFO connection to this, and certainly in our case, it absolutely was all connected. And we had a sighting over that house in 1977. And then later, in my adult years, which I wrote about this in my second book called Delivered, I began to have frequent experiences with UFOs and non-human looking beings, and this took place between 1995 and 2008. And I have taken probably 1,000 photographs. I shot over 16 hours of video footage. This was so bizarre that these things were actually coming to my house. I could take a camcorder and begin to record, and these things would come. And I've had as many as 50 people in a group with me that have witnessed these things. They've been covered by every major news media outlet here in Maryland. Been on the 6 o'clock news, the 11 o'clock news, that they've shown my footage. Real TV has shown my footage. It's just absolutely amazing. It's all connected. And again, if I were to list all my experiences, we would have a series of shows. So this is my life has been an incredible journey, to say the least. But through it all, God had a plan for me then, and that plan is unfolding as we speak. So as heavy as all of this is, as sad and tragic and terrifying as all of it, is and was is the key word, because my life is very good now, very blessed, very peaceful, and it didn't really stop until 2008, and that is when my wife and I decided that we were going to make God first in our life, and we got baptized together, and that is when all of it stopped. That's when I made the decision by my choice to make God first in my life, and he rewarded that and continues to reward that with abundant blessings. So this is not televangelism. This is not Bible thumping. This is truth. This is what God has done for me, and I am forever grateful to him for what he has done, for what he's doing, and for what he's going to do. So after that baptism, I felt a calling come over my life from God that I could help people with deliverance. And I thought, no, there's no way that I'm, after just coming out of all this garbage, really finally being free from it all, there is no way I'm going to go back and get my hands dirty again and get involved in this stuff again. So I resisted this for about a year. Mm-hmm. And then I began to do deep studies of the Bible, the 66 books, and the other 534 that were left out, ancient religion, ancient history. I began to study anything I could because, after those deaths in my childhood, I was very young, and when my mother died like that, I quit school in the 8th grade. I lied about my age, and I went to work for a construction company. I had to grow up very, very fast. And so that held me back greatly over the years. I've always wanted to tell the story, but I never felt intellectually adequate enough. I felt very inadequate, and I felt that there's no way that I could ever present the story in the proper way. So I began to study anything and everything after making this decision that I could do better and be better in life. And God has led me to wisdom and knowledge far beyond anything that I could ever imagine in my life. So again, a big message here to the listeners is never, ever feel that you're not good enough, you're not worthy enough. If you set a goal before you, there's nothing that you can't achieve. You can do it. If you set that goal in your mind and before you, you can do it. And I am living proof of that. I'm a walking miracle from God. So it wasn't until really I began to broaden my intellect and this wisdom that God had given to me. It empowered me. And then I saw that I could really do something in helping other people. Now, in the beginning, after my A Haunting episode aired, I was contacted by people from all over the world, and some of these people needed help, and I would refer them to people that I knew that I thought could help them. But again, God put that calling on me that I could personally, that God would work through me to personally help these people. And so that's how it all began. And now, since that time, probably been hundreds of people. And when you factor in the internet messages and phone calls that way, it's probably been thousands of people that God has worked through me to help over the last several years. It's just amazing.
That is. That's wonderful that you've been able to come from such tragedy in your life, and you use that to help other people. God bless you for that. I have a question. I have a question about when your dad left. You said that things really escalated there in the house.
Yeah.
Do you think he was maybe just by his presence there was keeping a lot of the demonic actions stifled because he was there?
You're exactly right. Yes, because again, my dad was a very strong man, very strong presence, and no question about it. So the agenda was to get the strong one out of the house, and that's the MO of Satan and his minions, divide and conquer. So absolutely right.
Exactly. And we have someone on hold that has a question. You willing to take some questions?
Sure, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Area code 936. Welcome to Paranormal Geeks Radio. I'm Jim. Our guest is Bill. Who are you?
My name is Laurie Phillips. Hello. And
hi,
Bill
Laurie.
knows me. Hi, Bill.
Hi, Laurie. How are you?
I'm fine. I just was tickled to death. I didn't even know you were doing a show, and I was just perusing Blog Talk and saw that you were on the air, and
praise
so
God.
Here I am.
Well, that is great. Laurie and I have done, I was on her show many, many times, Jim. She had a great show there, and I enjoyed always going on. I can't tell you how many times I was on that show, so she's very familiar with this story.
Yes, I am. And Bill, I'm so glad that you're still at it. I am so glad that you're still at it and still doing what you were called to do, and praise God for that.
Oh, we do praise God for it. It's amazing. Since the last time I've talked with you or been on your show, I mean, so many things have happened, and I have very little time now. It's just amazing how many people are in need. And Jim, and Laurie can tell you this from a couple of years ago. I'm up till 4 or 5 a.m. every morning answering messages from people from all over the place, and a lot of these people are in need. And I was just this past Saturday, I was in Pennsylvania, and I left my house at 9 a.m. that Saturday morning. I didn't get back home until 6:30 a.m. the next morning. I had been all night going, helping people with deliverance, blessings in their homes the whole day, the whole night. And I, got back home. I was exhausted. But this is what God has, this is the calling that he's put on me. And I praise him for this because I'm very happy to be in a position to make a positive difference in someone's life. And to see that transformation take place is just absolutely miraculous. I've had people after performing the deliverance that, and some of these, a few weeks ago, I performed an exorcism deliverance in Long Island, New York, for a 52-year-old man there, in there, which was, boy, I'll tell you, that was something else, that God took care of that as well. But, some of these people, if I'm doing this in their homes, they will want me to baptize them. And I have literally baptized people in a bathtub, because it's not about where it is, it's what they want in making their covenant with God. And that's how strongly God works through me in helping these people. It's not my power, and I don't claim to be anything or anybody. This is God working through me.
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. And, talking about baptisms, I'm 57. I just got baptized maybe 5 or 6 years ago. And the minister from my church, I was getting ready to get married. And the minister who was performing the service called me and said, your father came up last week, and he was in his middle 80s then, and said he wants to be baptized. So I thought I would do you both at once. Because when my ex-wife and I went in and talked to the minister, to Roger, I mentioned that I would love to be baptized. I think it's time. So he did a baptism on my father and myself the same day, much like you and your wife. Yeah. And that meant so much. I don't know. It was just the power, the energy I had all day, and into the next day. That was magnificent.
That's the
that was great.
That's the power of God.
Right.
When God created us, He left a little piece of Himself inside of each of us. And when we come back to Him by our choice, and we make Him first, because He won't be second for anybody, we make Him first, He activates that mighty and holy power that's within each of us. And that, once that power is activated, look out. We are armed and dangerous. And that is a large part of my message now to people, that, if you are coming back to God and you're truly going to make Him first, then be prepared for this great power that's going to be activated. And believe me, the enemy does not want this. He wants to keep people in fear. He wants to keep people down in that dark place, in the bondage and the chains.
Very true.
But not as long as I have a breath in my body, and as long as God continues to work through me in this way, I'm going to help as many people as I possibly can for as long as I can.
Amen. So you are now an ordained minister, correct?
Yes, again, it's something that I never ever envisioned for myself. Never in a million years, but God's plan was different than my plan. And I am so glad that I decided to let God guide me in this, and I let God guide me in everything. Doesn't make me perfect. I make mistakes like everybody else, and I sin like everybody else. I try not to. I try to be the best that I can be, but I'm a human being, and I'm fallible just like anybody else. And so I don't claim that, but I do, what I'm saying is true, that I do allow God. I take everything to God, and I allow Him to guide me. And I praise Him and thank Him for everything. And it's just been an amazing journey. I'll tell you, Jim, and again, Laurie knows when I first started this journey, and being on a show so many times, she was there from the beginning, and now, here it is, it's more strong.
And, the thing is when I first, and I hate to jump in, but I just want to say this, when I had him on the show, he had only written Dark Force. That was the only book that he had written, and since then he has written Deliverance and this new book he's got. And but that was the very beginning for him, and he had, of course, had been on The Haunting, and his story had been on The Haunting. So it was really basically the beginning, and I have just stood, I've been following Bill. He thinks I probably fell off the face of the earth, but honestly, I have been following Bill and have seen him, go from an author and a deliverer, which is what he did. I don't know if I kind of came in the show a little late, but Bill, have you talked about how you were in this house, what you did as a young child, what you did to
Not
deliver
really,
this
yeah.
house?
I really
you need to tell this story, because this just shows how God will use anybody, no matter how big or small they are.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought
anyone.
that up, because I didn't mention it. And again, Jim, so many things happen that there's a lot of things I'm not mentioning. But, yeah, what Laurie's talking about is 1979. I was 13 years old. And my life had drastically changed because my brother and I had gone for a visit to Florida to see my dad. Now, at this point in time, I still very much hated my dad. But I went with my brother, and it turned out to be, one of the best decisions I ever made in my life, because I had a very lengthy discussion with my Uncle Cliff, who's my father's brother, who lived down there, a very devout Christian. It was empowering, because he told me that we could take power and authority over these things by the mighty power of God in the name of Jesus. And so this opened up a new door in my life. For once, for the first time, I really had some hope and faith. And little did I know that God was preparing me for a battle that I was going to face as soon as I returned. And sure enough, the very day that we got back from Florida, my mother had given us very bad news about the family pet that had gone missing. And this was over the 4th of July celebration there in 1979. And they woke up the next morning and found hunks of black hair, which it was a little black poodle, the dog, and, they found gobs and gobs of hair everywhere, and never saw the dog again. And so she, had to tell us about that when we got back, and needless to say, we're very distraught and upset over that. And also there was a portrait, a painting that had been hanging up in the house for years, and it was of my sister, who was 3 years old at the time of this painting. And the depiction was a little girl, an innocent little girl in a dress, and, just nothing out of the ordinary. And suddenly overnight, my mother found that it had been altered, and it seemed like it had come to life, and the eyes looked like they were looking back at you, and the mouth was downturned. It was very evil. So the portrait had been altered, and naturally she took it off the wall, and it would be something that you would have to see to believe. But she took it off the wall and had it in one of the bedrooms. And so on that very day when we returned, after, she tells us first about the dog, and then, we get in the house, and my brother goes out and plays, and then I'm in there, and my mother has company, her mom, my grandmother, come over, and her sister was there with her boyfriend, and my mother's boyfriend was there as well. So there were 5 adults present. I was 13. And she went to go down in the room to retrieve that painting to show them. And she was picked up from the back of the neck by an unseen force and hurled through the air across the bedroom, and she landed into her makeup table, and she was cut open, and she was scratched. And seeing her like that, something just snapped inside of me. All those years of being a victim and all the years of abuse and torment, something just snapped, and I just grabbed a jar of that holy water in the Bible, and I began to call these things out. Now, where I made my mistake is I should have been binding them and casting them out, in Jesus' name, and I called them out, commanded them to show themselves. And as I was doing this, it was like a scene from a horror film. The house started vibrating, things were falling off the walls. The adults were terrified, after they collected my mother and got her back up and everything. They were terrified, but I continued on. My anger was just white hot. And at one point, in the living room, the adults were behind me in the dining room, but I was in the living room, and several feet in front of me, 4 entities manifested, just several feet in front of me. And I'll never, ever forget it, nor will they. These things appeared in like yellowish, greenish beams of light. And one had the look of, we call it the Undertaker. It was a male with black hair, black beard, chalky white skin, black eyes. Sometimes it wore a hat, sometimes it didn't. Black suit. This is one of 2 entities that were regularly physically assaulting my mother. And then another entity had red hair, male-looking, chalky white skin, black eyes, had a scar down the side of its face, the left side, clean-shaven. That was the other entity that was regularly attacking her. And then another entity was a female, very sharp facial features, long dark hair, black gown, sinister-looking thing. And then the 4th entity was this black form. And again, if you visit BillBean.net and click on the photo gallery section there, you'll see a picture. There's really actually a couple pictures. We talked about one in 1968, but there's another one that I took in the year 2000 of this black hooded entity, and that's exactly what that thing was, then, and had glowing red eyes. And we saw it for several seconds, the 4 of them, and then they just dissipated. They didn't just suddenly vanish. They just dissipated. And as they were dissipating, all the chaotic things that were happening in the house suddenly stopped. And after they had disappeared, we went over to my mother's boyfriend's house for the night. So that was the first battle I had against these demonic forces. Certainly wouldn't be the last, and there's no doubt in my mind that this was the precursor from God to see if I could be that warrior for him, and this is why I am where I am, right now in this point and period of time.
Amen.
You passed the test.
Yeah, we praise God for it, because I'll tell you, I've had other experiences that maybe the next time you have me back on the show we'll get into. I've come face to face with these demonic entities that actually talk to me, and things like saying, "Why don't you just give up and join us?" and stuff like that. I mean, I've come face to face with these things, and of course now God works through me so strongly that these things have to flee my presence. And again, it's not my power. I'm not boasting about this. This is what God does. This is how God works through me. So, they are vastly different now than what it was back then as a young kid. But the first time I had that white-hot anger and I was not afraid of anything. The second time, I was inwardly, I thought like I was just, I could feel my knees just buckling, to be honest with you. The second time that it happened in my life, in my young adult years, I stayed strong outwardly, but inwardly I felt like I was just going to pass out in any second.
Man, that's amazing. Well, is there any? We have like 8. Yeah, it sounds like it. We have about 8 minutes left. Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you wanted to touch on tonight? Like I say, we have a little over 8 minutes to go.
Well, and I want to thank Laurie so much for calling in, and I hope you're doing well, and God bless you and your family, and I hope that you get another show going again.
Actually, I do, but I do want to promote it here, someone else's show.
Go ahead.
So,
go ahead, we're all friends here now.
Okay. Well, I just started a new show. It's me and my daughter Lauren and my best friend Rhonda, and it's called Lone Star Legends, and we cover everything from Bigfoot, UFOs to demon experiences, ghosts. It just covers everything. It's on Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Central Time. And I was going to contact you, Bill, because I want to have you back.
Absolutely.
And because, we've had just almost a revival on there. It was awesome.
Praise
but,
God.
I've had the same kind of experiences as Bill, not quite to the level that Bill has, that I've had ghost experiences all my life, and then as an adult, I ran into demons and things like that. So I had to learn how to deliver on my own, and, with God's help. And so I had to learn how to do it as well. And so I've always had a kind of a connection with Bill, because I feel like me and Bill kind of have been down the same path. Of course, I haven't.
Absolutely.
I didn't have the calling Bill did. Mine's been on a much lower plane. But, I just admire his courage, because it does take a lot of courage. Although God, when you have the Word of God and you have God behind you, it's amazing how strong you can be. But I remember there were times
That's right.
I was trying to do it, and I was so oppressed while I was trying to do it. I couldn't even get the words out of my mouth. I started out using a little medicine bag around my neck just so that I could get the words out to get rid of it. And now I have become God has made me so powerful that now I don't need that medicine bag. I just go forward with it. And it's not something I go looking for. It's just when it's time for me to do it, it's time. And so I just love Bill. I just love Bill. And,
I look forward to coming back on, and I'm so glad you called in, because I had no idea. And I just praise God, and you just shoot me some dates, and I'll be there, and we'll get this thing going. And I can't thank you enough for calling in, Laurie, and God bless you and your family. And I want to thank everybody out there. I want to thank Jim, this time has gone by so fast, and it normally
really
does.
has.
But I really appreciate you having me on. I look forward to coming back because we've got a lot more to talk about, believe me. And from everything that we've covered here, it's such a heavy topic. However, things are very good, very blessed now. I'd like maybe the next time to talk about some of these cases. I'm currently working with a couple different networks. I've done some TV shoots here recently, and I'm a consultant for one, and they are featuring a bunch of my cases in their episodes, and we'll talk about that the next time, and they give me permission to talk about it all. But, I'm also doing quite a bit of traveling, and I've got a lot coming up here. I'm appearing in different parts of the country, and if I'm not appearing as a speaker or a lecturer, then I'm appearing for some family in need of deliverance. And I was in Chicago a couple times, and we'll have to talk about that as well, because there's a great family in Chicago that I absolutely have come to love, and God worked through me to help them out as well. So, again, thank you so much. Thank you, everybody out there, for listening. And for anybody out there that may be having problems, please don't hesitate to contact me at billbean.net. I answer every single message. If you'd like to order copies of my books, I'll sign the copies for you. And, again, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much, Jim, and God bless you and your family.
Hey, thank you very much. God bless you, too. How can people get a hold of your book? Just through your website, or does
the website only? Because people have, unfortunately, I've had my books bootlegged on Amazon and even eBay, and so the only place you could get my books from me is www.billbean.net. And just when you make your order, there's PayPal buttons there. You can make your order and just request for me to sign it to you, and I absolutely will. I sign them and get them out expeditiously.
Excellent. Well, Bill, thank you very, very much for being on tonight. It's been a pleasure. I remember the first time I even contacted you, you posted something on Facebook, and I was like, I never heard of him. He sounds like he really knows what he's talking about. I was like, and I messaged you, what do you do? And you told me, and I was like, God, I got to get him on the show. So thank you very much.
God does work in mysterious ways, right?
Boy, doesn't he? He really, really does. Well, thank you very much,
Lori. Back on with you, my brother.
Well, I'm working on scheduling July right now, so we'll see what we can do.
Fantastic.
And Lori, Lori, good luck with your show too.
Thank you so much
for
letting me plug it. I wasn't
intending
on doing that, but
and shoot me an email and let me know what dates are going to work for you, and then we'll coordinate that.
Okay.
We'll get this done ASAP. And look, God bless you and your family. And again, thanks to all the listeners, and God bless all of you. And Jim, look forward to talking with you soon, my brother.
Hey, no problem, sir. You have a great evening. God bless you.
You too. God bless.
All righty. It's an interesting show. Someone that can go from how terrible his life was in that house, and so much tragedy in the house, losing the father, losing the mother, the sister moving out. It's terrible, and he's turned his life around, found God. I guess that works. Hey, next week, April 8th, my guest, your guest, is going to be filmmaker, producer, independent filmmaker Cameron Scott. And in the second half is going to be Miss Sharon Day, the queen of paranormal geeks, going to be talking about the legends of the giants, ancient giants. So I want you all to have a great evening. Love you all, and God bless you.
I'm just trying to be a father, raise a daughter and a son, be a lover to their mother, everything to everyone, up and at 'em bright and early, I'm all business in my suit. Yeah, I'm dressed up for success, from my head down to my boots. I don't do it for the money, there's bills that I can't pay. I don't do it for the glory, I just do it anyway. Providing for our futures, my responsibility. Yeah, I'm real good under pressure, being all that I can be. I can't call in sick on Mondays when the weekend's been too strong. I just work straight through the holidays, sometimes all night long. You can bet that I stand ready when the wolf growls at the door. Hey, I'm solid, hey, I'm steady, hey, I'm true down to the core. And I will always do my duty, no matter what the price. I've counted up the cost, I know the sacrifice. Oh, and I don't want to die for you, but if dying's asking me, I'll bear that cross with honor, 'cause freedom don't come free. I'm an American soldier, an American. Beside my brothers and my sisters, I will proudly take a stand. When liberty's in jeopardy, I will always do what's right. I'm out here on the front line,